Room up.
I think we got all the live set.
I think we got it.
Hi.
There we go. Boom.
Hi.
There we
All
go.
right. We live.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody is doing well. I want to welcome you guys all to Getting Naked Podcast Live. And we have a great guest with us today. I don't know if you know her, but you should. She's a rock star. She's absolutely amazing. And hey, look, and we're on all platforms. If you guys want to come join us on Clubhouse, you want to come join us on Wisdom, you want to come join us on Live, you want to come join us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we are there. If you don't know,
Twitter.
Now you should know. Our name is Hello, and it stands for helping everyone live life optimally. And guess what? We do three things, okay? We collaborate with like-minded people that really want to get online before they get left behind. We're going to help you automate because, look, you are tired of being the janitor in your business and you really want to be the president of your business. So let's automate that. And then last but not least, let's duplicate because let's be honest, right? You're great at the training. You're great at the transformation. But what you need help with,
you're great at the chit chat.
You need help with that transaction. And that's where we can help you out at, right? And as always, we want to share with you guys ways that you can actually accelerate and increase conversion to your business because we are the product of the product. And we want to show you guys how we do it. And that's why we're coming up with solutions and remedies for you guys to do it in yours with our Hello Briefcase, with our Hello Wellness, with our Hello Live Solar. You never know what else might come because we're just like Jeff Bezos. We got an app and we're going to allow you to go and get anything you want, right? And so that's what it's about. But I want you guys to definitely make sure you guys tap in and we're going to get this podcast going live right now. So, baby.
Well, you know what? Welcome on in, everybody. I am so excited to be here. And we have a special guest tonight. We have a special guest in the sense of the health and wellness field. And I love this because in learning about her journey, it really resonated her just a little bit that I know from it. And it was because of the fact at the end of the day, she found time for herself. And I can understand that, like kind of doing something and starting something in one direction and it turned into something whole and completely different. And so tonight's special guest, you guys, is Denise Perry. She is coming from all the way from North Carolina. She is an amazing, interesting human being. So first of all, she has her bachelor's degree in communications and media. So she's got the smarts, but she's really in tune with her soulful side because she has her side of the yoga nook. And really that came forth because in reading and finding out more about her, she started that to start with exercise. But what came of it was finding the me time and finding the grounding and just coming down into who she was. And then that transpired into wanting to help other people. And then bada bing, bada boom, Clubhouse put us together and here she is with us. And so besides the fact that she's a cat mom too, I mean, my heart swarmed because, two cats. Iris and Jem. Iris and Jem meet Stony. Stony meet Iris and Jem. Stony will probably pop up somewhere around here. But if you don't know, we have a cat now too. And so, Denise, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Share with the people maybe something I didn't cover.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed meeting both of you and chatting with both of you. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Something that you didn't. Well, when I look at my journey of yoga, I look at it in phases and stages. It's like I feel like I'm going into my fourth stage right now. And it's something that is ever evolving, ever changing. The more that I practice, the more that I talk to my students, talk to the people that are around me, that's how I learn and be able to grow. And I think that's the amazing part of it. It doesn't stay the same. It changes and grows as you change and grow as a person. And I love that. I was like, it means the journey's never ending. I was like, there's always going to be something else around the corner.
I think that's gorgeous and beautiful because it's, from what I hear, it's very holistic. It's very holistic. And it's kind of like when you give, your community gives back to you, and then you're able to give, and then they give back to you, and then in a growth way. It's I kind of resonate with that, David, and I do, just because that's very much what our community is. We get a lot of energy, a lot of knowledge. So when you say it's like a never-ending trip, kind of, never-ending trail, I love that, because it's always going to be some sort of beautiful growth and pattern, and I just kind of think of a pathway of flowers on the way. So, Mr. Jones, I don't want to be the only one talking. I want it to be normal, like I'm the only one. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, my first question would be is, when was that moment, that you decided that you were going to say, you know what, I'm going to open up my own studio. I'm going to do this. Let's go. When did that become the moment?
Wow. The studio question, I'll come back to that in a second, but I was like, I think the moment that I realized this was my purpose, that I wanted to be able to share this with others, it came about 7-8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have a history of anxiety and depression, and I had stepped away from the physical part of my practice for a while, even though I was still doing breath work and meditation. And I had a friend of mine, actually one of my mentors, she asked me, what do I do for myself?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I wasn't doing anything. I was working 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. I was traveling across multiple states. I was doing so much for everybody else, but nothing for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to my mat. And she was such a friend to me. She was also my leader at the time. She helped me work with my schedule so that I could take 2 nights a week and go to the studio and go to my mat and spend some time with myself. And I had people that I knew for years at that point. After a few months, they came to me and they said, there's something different about you. You look a little lighter. I see your smile more. There's something different. What are you doing? And all I was doing was going to my mat. And I was like, and that's when I knew there was something here, and I had to dive in more. And once I started learning more about myself, I was like, I've got to share this with others. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
It starts with ourselves. What are we changing in ourselves? And how is that affecting the people that are around you? So, and then going into the studio, I was like, I've got to give a lot of credit to one of my teachers, Alex. Yoga Nook was one of her dreams. And that she's the person that I trained with, I learned from. I still talk to her from time to time. And when she wanted to step back as an owner, she asked me whether I would be interested in taking over the studio. So that was like, okay, wow. I was like, let's go. So I'm still working through that.
That's exciting, though. Just all because, you went, and I think the biggest thing that I find is that you started, like I said, you started something in more of I exercise, and then you just created and carved out that space and that time. And what really resonated with me was the being lighter, and what's different about you. I've had that same question posed, and so which one is that? Is that Iris or is that Jim?
This is Jim. Jim is my social butterfly. Whenever I'm on Zoom or doing like Instagram or anything like that, she wants to be there. So if you ever see me in a virtual class teaching from home, 9 times out of 10, Jim is either in my lap or on the mat with me.
I love it. I love it. Well, Jim, you're lighter too. You look lighter too, boo.
So, what advice would you give, to someone that is trying to pursue your journey? What would you tell them?
Well, one, I would say my journey is not going to be the same as your journey. That would be first and foremost. I was like, don't try to be like me. Just like I try not to be like my teachers. I take guidance for them. I want to learn from their wisdom. but they're going to have a different experience than I do. And I'm going to have a different experience from somebody else. So first, trust your experience, trust yourself. That's where it starts. And if you have questions, I can absolutely be able to answer them and help give you some ideas, but explore your own practice, because again, we're all different. There may be things that work for me that is not going to work for you. There may be things that don't work for me that are going to work for you. So just trust where you're at, and then trust your journey.
I love that.
I love it.
We've been very heavy on the trust your own intuition and trust yourself. So
what was it the other day that you told me?
We're on the same vibe.
You should know. What was it? You should know, or you should.
I do not remember. I come up with great things and I say them, and then we don't document them, and they're gone.
Yeah.
We both do that.
Yeah.
So
I do the same thing. I keep a notepad on my phone now, so that way if something comes up whenever I'm in the store or whatnot, I was like, let me open up my notepad, write down a quick note, and then I'll come back to it later.
And when she said it, I was like, damn, that was good. I should write that down. And I walked around here and I didn't write it down.
It'll pop in.
Yeah.
It'll come back to us.
It will.
So, that brings us into, finding out a little more about, this journey. You already mentioned a few people, but I want to know who are the most influential people, if you want to name 3 of them, that has really impacted your journey.
Well, my teacher, Alex, definitely impacted my journey. She is still a guide for me that I reach out to. She was one of my first teachers that I had that really helped me understand what happened behind the pose. Some of the philosophy, breath work, energetics, being able to take that deeper dive. I mentioned Diana, who it was leader. She's the one who sparked that question. It was like, if it wasn't for that question, I don't know where I would be at tonight, honestly. I was like, that was the question that set me on that path. And then first and foremost, I have to give it to my mom. My mom was very influential to me when I was growing up. She is one of those people who, she's always there with a shoulder to lean on, but at the same time, she's walking her own path. I remember when I was in high school, she worked a lot of different hours, and I don't know how this came up, just because I was in high school at the time. You don't ask these questions.
Yeah.
Something sparked in her to be able to try something different, and she went back to college part-time. And while she was working full-time, while she had 3 kids, I was a teenager, my siblings were younger, still running a household, but she was going back to college and doing something for herself. That sparked a second career, actually a third career for her, which I just found that amazing. And that was something that I looked on for myself. I was like, if my mom could be able to do this when she was in her late 30s, almost 40s, and here I am almost in my mid 40s, I was like, what can I be able to do? I was like, there's nothing to stop us.
That brings a little bit of tears to my eyes, because it's almost like you're speaking about my mom. She did something very similar. She went back to college, working a full-time career. She only had 2 children, but, running a joint household with my father, and, just doing that. And when you stated what your mom was able to do and what you will be able to do, there were so many times, she went back in her 30s, right? There were so many times that I went back for my bachelor's and master's when we, I finally took it serious when we got together, almost right at the time we got together. I finally said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I was turning 30. And I remember I had all these opportunities to do so. And a lot of times when I was just like, I'm going to take a semester off, I just would always be like, you know what? You don't got 2 children, like you're not, like why? What do you have that is so complex that other people didn't have? Why are you just not pushing through and just making it happen, Captain?
Yeah.
And you brought some tears to my eyes when you shared that, because it's very, very similar. So that's beautiful. Thank you. I love it. Mr. Jones.
So what?
Sorry.
Okay. What is,
tickled.
because I mean, this is exactly what we talk about and we encourage people to do, is to turn their passion into profits, and to be able to turn their passion, into being able to help other people. And that's really what you've done. Is you first went to go work on yourself, and you were able to go through that mindset journey, which then transformed your body, which then had that soul really working and having that soul really talking. And now you're doing that with other people. What inspires you to do what you do, and why do you keep doing it?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think my biggest inspiration, it comes from my students. I was like, they're the reason why I'm here, and hearing their stories. I had a student last year that I worked with privately, and her husband was actually the one who signed her up for classes because he wanted to help her find time for herself. And I remember she came in and she was like, Dee, some of my students call me Dee. She's like, Dee, I only have 10 minutes a day to myself. I was like, sometimes I have to put myself in a closet to be able to get away from the kids, get away from my husband. I was like, so I can have my 10 minutes a day. What can I be able to do? And so we were able to create a practice for her so she could be able to do every day, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. How can that 10 minutes a day sustain her or help keep her grounded throughout the rest of her day? And when she walked out after the first 4 weeks, oh my goodness, the light in her eyes, that's what keeps me going. It's like when I can see that light in my students' eyes, it's like, I just let go of something that I didn't realize I needed to let go of, and I can be able to do what I need to do. That's the magic.
Yeah.
It is, man. That's the secret sauce. It's when you, we know that feeling. We know that feeling when you're able to help people with whatever it is your gift is, and they come, when they come back and they share with you, and you just see a quality of life improve. Oh man, that is just.
I got a question.
It gave me chills.
I got a question. So we need to add this. So what is the most inspiring, customer, story, or or just as a business owner, testimony that you can tell us?
Oh, all right. I think the one that sticks out in my mind, I have 2 students. They were 2 of my very first students when I started teaching about 5 years ago. Right after I got in my first teacher training, I went in, started teaching this class at a local wellness center. And these 2 ladies, they came in, and they're both, excuse me, got a little frog in my throat.
Okay.
They're both older, I'd say late 50s, early 60s or whatnot. Both of them were new to yoga, but they wanted to be able to try it. And so we started out slow, building them up, and they started coming to both of my classes that I was offering each week. And I remember that probably about a year and a half after I still started working with them, they came to me after one of the classes, and they were like, you know what? I can be able to see a difference in the way I feel. And I want to say that I can see a difference in the way that you're guiding us, because when we first started working together, it didn't. I knew that you were new to teaching, and you were still getting comfortable with yourself. I was like, I can feel the comfort level that you have now, and I can feel the comfort level that you have with us, that you can be able to personalize things And those two students are still with me to this day in different places. When I moved to different places, they followed me. And I was like, okay, they're still working with, they're still getting enough out of it. And we're taking their practice to another level. They came in looking for one thing, and now they're getting something completely different. And I just love that. And I'm so appreciative of them too.
That warms my heart, because it really is those individuals who do follow you. And you kind of at first go, oh, okay, because it takes you back
because a lot
little.
of us aren't used to getting praise. We're not used to getting those flowers from people, because we don't know what to do with them. And then when we do get them, it's like, me?
Not me. So what's something that you
Go ahead. What you got?
Well, I was going to just share. I was talking with somebody about this in the last year, about this topic, about people following others. And I made this analogy. I was like, think about the person that cuts your hair, that does your nails, maybe you go to for massages. We're there to be able to be of service, to be able to help others. I know I'm picky about who does my hair, but if I find somebody who does my hair right,
I know.
You can't tell it now on video, but
I know it's tough.
But I was like, if I found somebody who does my hair right and they start moving salons, I'm going to follow that person, not necessarily stay at the salon that I'm with. So I was like, what I do and what us as a community, as yoga teachers do, finding those students who resonate with you. And it's okay to be able to say, maybe I'm not the right teacher for you. Because I've had students who've said that to me as well. It's like, you're not the right teacher for me. And I'm like, you know what? That's okay. You understand that. I get that. I want you to get what you need. I don't need you to stay in my classes just to feed my ego. Yeah. That's not the point of this. This is for you. This is your practice. Find a teacher that is going to help you get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, first of all, that's beautiful. And it's beautiful because of the simple fact that yogis and anybody who has a yoga studio and practices yoga and shares it with, the world in whatever form, fashion, and matter that they do, it's a heart-centered practice. And I didn't know that and learn that until yoga and meditation and understanding my chakras and getting grounded and going through my whole journey and what I'm, and all the things that I've done that a lot of us have probably, had some sort of experience through that. But my point being is, it is a heart-centered business, if you want to just call it for what it is. And what you are noticing because of the pandemic, not because of the pandemic, but since the pandemic, we'll just say since the pandemic, you have seen a huge shift across the board, that we are all shifting into heart-centered and heart-spaced businesses. And what I mean by that is the simple fact that we care about what our clients or community are getting from us, and we care where they are, where they're going, what they're doing, and that creates a relationship, which then you just shared creates a community that comes back and continues to come back, like the two little ladies, and so it just is a beautiful, thing to see and to hear. And I really think that, yogis are kind of the, if you want to say, the original OG at being a heart-centered, thoughtful based business. And that is where that's where the world is transitioning to.
Well, that's where we're moving to. That's why we started our company, was to really, bring back, that love, kindness, and integrity, because, me working in corporate America, understanding how we used to treat people and how people used to treat us. And even more so, with people starting to understand that they can, build their businesses on their own, especially with network marketing and affiliate marketing, and all these other different applications that can help people do that. They have to understand that things aren't the way they used to be anymore. Trying to rub bellies with people one by one, those days are over and dead with. One button can hit 10 million people. Definitely, it outweighs anything else. So that's the great thing about this.
You were going to say something, Denise.
Well, and I love that, because I think about when I was in corporate America, and this was, like I said, probably about 5-6 years ago, 7 years ago at this point. I used to remember everybody talking about, let's find the work-life balance. How can we be able to find that work-life balance? But it really was, how can I be able to give you enough to make you happy, but still make you do everything that I need to do? That was kind of like the underlining tones.
Yeah, it was praise words.
Exactly. The work-life balance. I can remember that in my head. But it's like, we have gone through a shift in the last 2 years. We suffered, and it was a dramatic shift. And I think that's where a lot of us went into grief and went into, you had a lot of talk about anxiety, depression. It's now becoming more open and more available to be able to talk about that, because pre-pandemic, if you talked about anxiety and depression, it was still somewhat frowned upon. It was like, ooh, something's wrong with you if you're depressed, if you're that anxious. Now it's like, okay, let's figure out what's going on. What are your triggers? What's the seeds of this, and be able to work with it. And all of us had to be able to reprioritize what was important. I was like, we had work all the way up here. Unfortunately, that was the economy and the society that we have. And now we realize, yes, work is important, but we've got other things that are as important too. It's like, if we don't put ourselves first, we're not going to be available or be able to be strong enough to be able to support everybody's around us. If we don't take care of our families and to nurture the relationships that are around us, what's the point of working so hard if you're not being able to enjoy what you're doing, or enjoying the people around you, or work that work is giving you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Spot
Good
on.
stuff. Good
Spot
peanut
on.
butter.
I went on a little bit of a soapbox for a moment, but
No, I love it. I love it.
We like soapboxes.
And that's why we share with people, the light, the energy, and the frequency of us being able to have this conversation is not just, for no reasons. There are reasons why we have this conversation, whether that is for us or whether that is for somebody that will listen to this now or even later, right?
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about this, is that, all is one, as I remind people.
I just get giddy about, somebody that might be listening to this and they have no clue kind of what that journey can open up for them. And it plants a seed.
Go help somebody else.
It plants a seed that they can take the first step. And that's the beautiful thing about that. So
it starts with one little spark, and it's like, okay, let's see where this spark takes me, and just taking it one step, one seed at a time. Don't feel like you have to know where the destination is. I was like, I don't know where my destination is going to be. I'm enjoying this part of the journey, and then seeing where it guides me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We all really don't know where the journey's going to end. It's at the end of the day, we could go down that rabbit hole. But my point being is that it just be present. Be present. Yeah. It's a really beautiful thing when you're present.
Yeah, that's why
magic happens all around you. I mean, whatever it is, nature's happening all around it. Just good things are happening all around us. So, What is something that recently you've read or maybe tuned in and listened to that has really inspired you, that you would love to share with the community?
Oh my goodness. There was actually 2 books that I've read in the last 6 months that have really hit me. One of them is a friend of mine. I was introduced to her last year through a colleague. She wrote her first book. It came out in October, Collecting True Friends. And what she does is breaks down how we build friendships, both professionally and personally, and how do we build our own internal circle. And I had aha this week as I was talking to her in a couple of the clubhouse rooms, and realized why I resonated with this book so much. Because all of the things that she's talking about, it actually deals with energy work, even though she doesn't use that language. She doesn't talk about chakras. She doesn't talk about energy work, but she talks about how do you connect with your true self? How do you understand your values? How do you build boundaries around the people that are around you? How do you filter out the people that you don't need to be around you? And it was like, oh my goodness, it's like she's actually talking about energy, conserving your own energy and knowing what you're reflecting out and what you're bringing back in. I was like, there's a reason I really liked this book. So that's probably the first one.
I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that, you know, the really cool thing is I've stumbled across the same kind of thing, that where you see someone explaining something in like what you know in a one set of language, like you know how to describe it in one set of language, and they use it to describe in a whole different, and you're just like, wow, that really makes sense too. Like, oh, you could go that way to get there as well. You know,
Exactly.
it's just, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I recommend to y'all and to anybody who's listening, Collecting True Friends by Elizabeth Duncan Hawker. It is amazing. You'll go back to it.
Looks like a Sunday Knowledge Day book
Looks like a great book.
that we might actually have to talk about on Sundays in one of our rooms. But absolutely. What you got?
Well, so we love to ask this question, and this is our favorite question of all. And we don't put this one on the question list, so you don't know.
Oh.
So this is a surprise one. Yay! We love surprises, right? Hold on just a second. So here it is. We, at the end of the day, want to know, you're in your home and you're doing some spring cleaning. Now, we didn't tell you that in your home, it's the home of your dreams. You have everything you could ever imagine and dreamed for. You want and wish for nothing. All your bills, all your family's bills are taken care of. I mean, just life is good. And you're just doing some spring cleaning and you stumble across one of these closets, and all of a sudden you find a bag and you open it up and you're like, oh, that's where that extra $1 million is just laying around. I mean, I knew I put it in a bag and I just forgot about that silly $1 million. We want to know, what are you going to use for that $1 million? Where are you going to use it? How are you going to spend that $1 million?
Or Bitcoin, whatever one suits you better.
Oh, yeah. That's
Oh my goodness. So I already have everything that I need.
everything.
So what I would do, I would probably do one of two things. First, I would probably either donate it. I was like, either to a women's shelter or to Yoga Alliance, to be able to allow people to get scholarships to do their own training, teacher training. So I would probably donate part of it to one of those. And then the other part, I would divide it up between my 3 nieces. I was like, I would want them to be able to have a comfortable nest egg to be able to start on. Maybe it's to go to school, something like that. So that way, when they're ready to start their own journeys, they don't have to worry about money. They have something to start from. And I think that's probably the hardest part when we graduate high school, go to college, we gain all of these expenses. I had to deal with it. And now we're trying to be able to pay off debt. We're starting off in the negative. So how can I be able to help them be able to start off on the positive?
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Because now there's a statistic now that you need to have 3 incomes to be sufficient enough, to live in these times. So we really have to be aware of how that's all playing out. So that's a great one. So, with all that being said, we like to ask quick 5 questions.
Yeah. Speed round.
Speed round to keep this going. And so Tara's going to ask you quick 5 questions. Just the first thing that comes to mind. Nothing crazy, nothing outrageous, so that people can get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, simple one letter or one letter, one word answers, one letter answers. Yeah, A, B, C, D. Yeah. So, what is your favorite color?
Purple.
I love it. What is your favorite food?
Chinese.
I love it. What is your favorite way to relax?
Ooh, sit on my porch and watch the sunrise.
I really like that
I
one.
like it.
What's your favorite way to rejuvenate yourself? Like, like restore yourself and be back to your awe-inspiring.
Pedicure.
I know that feeling, girl.
And I need one now too.
I love it. So we're sending the jet over, and the jet's going to scoop down and pick you up. And where are you going to tell the jet to take you?
Greece.
I
love Greek mythology. I've always been fascinated with it. So Greece or either Stonehenge, one of the two, but Greece.
Stonehenge or Greece?
I've been to Greece. Greece was nice. It has a different swan sway to it, should I say?
Yes.
That's if you don't know, that is off a movie.
Yeah.
And that is
it does. It has a different
vibe,
a different font sway. And I've traveled a lot, but I mean, it definitely has that. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
It's
a different vibe, and I'm looking forward to go. So.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Denise, that is the end of our surprise questions. We appreciate you being a good sport about that. But, as we wrap up this podcast, this is the time that we love to give you the ability to share with our guests and our community exactly where you guys are, where they can find you, what you're up to, what they need to be cluing in, what services you offer. I mean, just give it to us so we can come support you and, be a part of your community.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Well, you can find me. Our website is ChesapeakeYogaNook.com. And I am also very active on Instagram at Yoga Nook. And you can typically find me down the clubhouse hallways at Denise Perry. I do have a club there called Living Yoga, which I do rooms on a regular basis. We have live in-person as well as virtual classes through Zoom, going anywhere from meditation and breath work all the way to vinyasa. So it's a great way to explore your practice wherever you are. This year, what I'm working on is like right now, I'm working on I have an Ayurveda series that I start in March. It's a 4-week series where we can dive in deeper to understand where we are, how we're created, and how we can be able to use our practices to find balance both in our physical, mental, and emotional bodies based upon how we're created. So that's going to be an informational field series. I'm excited about that. And I'm also working on my teacher training programs. I have an in-person class that's starting in September. We're finishing up a class right now. And I'm looking to start a virtual group within the next couple of months. So if you're interested about either just diving into your practice or else sharing with others, reach out, send me an email, catch me on Instagram, and let's talk. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love the, I
love the pivot and positioning that she continues to do, and never giving up and continuing to learn new things. And that's the great thing about it, that keeps you doing successful things. So you keep going, girl.
One thing at a time, one step at a time. That's all it takes. So you got to keep going forward.
I love it.
One step at a time.
I think that's our title.
I think you might be right, sir. One step at a time. So with that said, thank you so much, Miss Denise. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being a part of our community. And just we look forward to being a part of your community. And, it's just about, like we always say, there's enough abundance for everybody out here. And what I mean by that is, I always say this, you don't wake up in the morning and go, oh my goodness, I can't breathe air because my cats will not be able to breathe if I breathe. We don't have that thought. We just do not wake up and worried about breathing air. And well, for the most of us, don't worry about that. And I think at the end of the day, what we do wake up is we worry about the abundance that we're going to have, and we worry about everybody else, and that I can't have abundance and you can't have abundance and we all can't have abundance. And we just live in a world, and it's shifting, as you say, into a very abundant world and a very heart-centered. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate what you're doing for just the world and the community and what you're bringing in just the positive light. So keep it up. And, please, by all means, come back and be a guest anytime you want to. So
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I'll just share final words as there's no perfect practice, only the perfect practice for today. And I'll close as I close all of my classes. May your minds be at peace, your voices bring joy, and your hearts full of love. Namaste.
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 I love it.
I like that
I
one.
love it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Miss Denise. Love,
Kindness,
and integrity. Until next time, be kind to yourself, and please be kind to others, and give yourself a hug.
Yes. And with that being said, hey, look, you guys come and continue to join us. We're going to finish up, have some questions. Anybody that wants to come and join us in our social media rooms, please come on. Join us right now in Clubhouse and or on Wisdom, right? You can come follow us and learn more about this. And we definitely have a couple more questions that you guys can ask Miss Denise herself, right? Hey, Miss Denise, why did they ask you this questions? Hey, why did David ask you that? And you definitely can drill us as well. However that works for you, it doesn't matter. We want to know, right? Because this is Getting Naked. It's real. It's raw. It's funny as AF. And it's about us, just coming together and exploring. So with that being said, you guys come and join us on our Clubhouse or Wisdom Room. And we're going to say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you.